Yeah.
Guys, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Wow, this family, child. We need more than. And let me start with you, Sasha. What is going on in your brain? Because I'm like, sir, we like this is like really side deals. We always had side deals, but now we have side plots. We know that, mom and son are beefing and yet they're stuck in business. Do you just say, okay, it's chaotic and let me throw another grenade onto the grill and let's see where everybody goes? Because it just seems like just when we think we got it figured out, you're like, no, we need more chaos. It's not chaotic enough.
Yeah. Well, what goes on in my head is between me and my therapist, and I pay an experienced professional to sort through all that. I think, you know, we've always said, Katia, that this is a family drama. And listen, I don't know what your family's like. Like, look, obviously, my family is not involved in 1990s era drug trade, but families are complicated, and you're always surprised in your own family what lurks behind, every corner. And it's, these are, family is such a complicated relationship. We are stuck with these people, whether we want to be or not, and we have to figure out a way to sort of navigate around them and love them and challenge. It's so hard, and I think that's always been at the heart of this series is when you come from a complicated family, how many of those complications do you have to sort of do you internalize, and how do you define yourself in opposition to and in concert with all that your family brings? And so, I mean, look, I do think that part of the mandate of the power universe is that, chaos reigns, but I also think that this show, and I think a lot of it has to do with its performances, frankly, it still feels very grounded. It's not chaos for the sake of chaos. It's chaos that feels earned and informed by these characters and the stories that we're telling.
I mean, it's entertaining, but it's like, I mean, it's like, do I wear a bulletproof vest? Do I wear a helmet? Do I wear both? And I'll get to you, Mekai, because you and Patina are, you all do the mess together, but y'all don't trust each other. You're in business together, but then y'all mad at each other, but you keep doing the mess together. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we're going to take these bodies out, but I'm mad at you while you're taking the bodies out. And it's tough because they're mother and son. She's claiming she wants to protect him, but I'm like, girlfriend, you're the one who put him in the mess. Like, are
You
you
know,
really surprised that he is like behaving the way he's behaving? That's my thing where I always want to be like, Rock, but this is the mandate you set. This is the example you set. Talk about that because their relationship is really not mother and son. Let's be honest. It really is like two foes that are stuck because of circumstances.
I really think it is love at the end of the day. I think we're just dealing with a really complicated version of it. You know what I'm saying? They say love makes you do crazy things, and we are watching the literal love letter to that exact quote right now. I think, you know, in the world that Kanan and Raq live in, um, there's just this innate want to, as any mother and son would, or as any son wants to protect his mother, and as any mother wants to protect their son. You just add the chaos of what the world they live in is around that. You know what I'm saying? You add the layer of adapting to what's going on and how you navigate inside of that sort of thing. I think there's just always will be that constant push and pull between Raq and Kanan because Raq is Kanan and Kanan is Raq. Um, and you're seeing them exemplify who they are just in different ways. I mean, it's kind of a Malcolm and Martin type thing. It's very much so we want the same thing, but we're going about it in two different ways. While also Kanan is still coming into, you know, his own consciousness and understanding of the example that's been set for him. You know, he's now seeing it with his own scope, not just through the legend or through the stories that have been passed down. He's now actively seeing and understanding and adapting it in his own way. So that's really all we're seeing is just, again, this back and forth of new information coming in. How am I going to juggle and keep this all going?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I will say is like, I mean, who said a mother and son can't be adversarial? And I think there are a lot of mother-son relationships and mother-child relationships that are adversarial. There are a lot of parents who shouldn't be parents, and there are a lot of kids who still love them and want to love them. I mean, that's the thing that's sort of diabolical about the human brain is that, we have these parents, and no matter what they do, there's this thing in our brain that's like, but I'm supposed to love them. Help me find a way to love this parent, even though this parent has done nothing to earn that love. And that's the thing that human beings do is like, no matter what, despite all evidence to the contrary, it's like, but that's my mom, that's my dad, I'm supposed to love them. And we're constantly searching for something to hold on to say, not only that we love them, but they love us. And I think conversely, if you're Raq, for example, I think if you were to ask Raq, do you love your son? What she'd say is, do I love my son? Everything I've ever done is for my son. Everything. I go to work. I put myself in these situations for my son, to take care of my son. Now, you and I, Kathy, may look at that. No, that's not true. You're doing that all for yourself. And by the way, we'd be right. But listen, she'd tell you the exact opposite. She'd say, no, I'm doing this for my son. And who are we to tell her otherwise? In her brain, that's what she's doing. And she justifies a lot of stuff. And we talk about this on the show by saying, I'm doing this for my son. So, these are complicated relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Mekai, that New York accent, spot on. Shout out to your dialect coach. Very specific, you're doing the darn thing. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
Have a good one.
You too. Oh yeah.
I'm good. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Huge fan of you as a music artist and love that you're branching out into this acting career. Let's talk about Unique. Unique is go. We thought he was gone. We thought our man was done. We thought he was toast. And he has risen from the dead. And my guy is struggling. Like he went from fresh to death to hanging on. But talk about talk about how much fun it is though for you as an artist, because it's a 360 from where you started playing him. Now he's in the shadows and he is dealing with physical, but at the same time, he's got to figure out like who was the one that came for him so that he can exact revenge. Like, how did you prepare for this arc, for your character?
That's a good question. I want to say that it was a challenge, to say the least, but it was one that I enjoyed. When you're on a network television show that happens to have longevity, it's like you're playing the same character over and over and over. So it was exciting to be able to portray this character in a new light, in a new way, and to bring new aspects to him, or to, some fine new nuances, right? Like, the brain injury has affected him in a way where he is a little bit more of an unhinged version of himself. And, we know Unique to be calculated. And the way that I looked at it is, prior to the injury, he was calculated in a logical way. Post-injury, he's calculated in a more emotional way. So we see him personify feelings being determined as facts rather than looking at the facts,
For sure, for sure. The other thing is, especially you being a New York guy, is one of the characters of the show is New York. That flavor, how you speak, how you dress, how you move. How much of that is, is it, even though you're a little bit younger from when this takes place, how much of that is something that you bring to him? Because I think, those of us that were alive during that age, we look at certain things and we go, oh, they got the outfits right, the car, you know what I mean? How they had the rims out. How much of that do you appreciate, and do you feel like that's important, for bringing a certain depiction of the city into this?
Oh, I mean, I appreciate all of it. Like, I was born in 1995. So to be able to play an adult in the era of the decade in which I was a baby is exciting. It's fun. You know what I mean? I've always been a admirer of the 90s era, which, many people deem as the golden era, right? And I think Raising Kanan is actually one of the first shows on television to use the 90s as a period piece, you know what I'm saying? Because for the last, 10, 15, the closest or the most recent period piece would be the 80s. You know what I mean? So it was cool to be part of one of the biggest shows that had its first depiction of the 90s and this new generation.
What has doing this helped you in terms of like as an artist in music? Because I feel like, in your lyrics and you as an artist have always been very tuned in, not only with the culture, but you haven't been afraid to, I'm going to do stuff that feels right to me, and I'm going to talk about the things that I'm seeing, what I feel, and not necessarily just being like, I'm going to make these bops, which is nothing wrong with making bops, but you've always leaned into like, like I'm observing this, or this is where I am right now as a man, as I'm growing, right? What has playing unique kind of like helped you in terms of like, do you feel like you're more freer? Do you feel like, hey, this is another window to allow you to lean into your creativity in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could relate to that. Like, my success as unique has definitely given me more freedom um, for Joey, right? You know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, I mean, Unique has created an incredible um, optional revenue stream for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Joey is a little bit relieved because Joey gets to just be creative. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, okay, cool. Like, we can be Unique, then we could be Joey. Like, we could, you know what I mean? Or just, TV and film versus music in general. But it's also brought in me an increased visibility. You know what I'm saying? Because so many people watch the show. And I think that has definitely converted into new fans for Joey as well.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me. And again, I've been a huge fan of your music, and I love this evolution of you as an artist and as a man. And I'm looking forward to this, for you continuing this acting thing, because I think, you really got something there.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Rocky is my favorite character out of all the women in the Powerverse because I think that she is unapologetically ambitious. As dysfunctional as she may be, she is not, she makes no qualms about that. And we don't get to see, especially Black women, be that on television. Like she makes this is who she is, and she's coming for everybody and everything to get what she feels she deserves. Talk about playing a character like that, because again, it's got to be a little bit freeing because she's not doing it for a man. She's not doing it for society's acceptance. She's like, she is the epitome of I'm doing me.
She really is. I think that's what makes her so exciting to play. I mean, to show up every day and be able to play a character with that kind of ambition, like with so sure of herself in that way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things in her life that she is not good at, but you know what she really is? She is ambitious. And if you tell her no, if she doesn't know something, she's going to figure it out. And I think that's refreshing to see. I think it's refreshing to see a Black woman be able to do that on television, which we don't really get to see. I think men get to do that all the time. I think, sometimes, Black men in television, we've seen those roles as well, but we don't ever really get to see it from this lens. And so it made it so just rich for me, and it's exciting to be able to do this and to tell this story in this way, because it is so dynamic. She is so dynamic. She is, you know, once you think you have her figured out, you find something else out, and she is, you know, is really three-dimensional. And come on, it's incredible to play, and I think that's why so many women identify with her in that way. It's her ambition and being unapologetically herself and knowing what she wants.
Absolutely. Also, why I think it helps her in a business world, it's complicated when it comes to her son, you know, where she's not understanding, like, you can't treat that relationship like a business relationship. There is, you know, she doesn't lean into understanding why Kanan is like rebelling and wants to do things differently. You know what I mean? In her mind, she's like, why doesn't he get that I'm doing this because I love us? Where he's like, you're creating this love of yours, whatever way that you're delivering, is causing me pain. Like, she's not connecting on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it really starts out like the thing that Rock has always been really good at is making money, right? Like that's the thing that we know that she's good at. But being a mom is not something that comes like, that's not an easy thing for her, you know, it's not the thing that she knows. And so she's navigating it in a way. It's a tricky thing, you know, to become a mom at 15, that's like a big thing. And so, you know, once you have that baby, that life, as you know, so there is that emotional thing. I don't know if she knows how to be that perfect mom, because there is no perfect mom, but it's not the thing that she feels that she's good at, but that she wants to be good at. She just keeps making mistakes. Listen, the first season, all she wanted was to encourage him to go off and be somebody better. That was being a good mom. But what happened is maybe where he should have been with the family in Virginia and not being privy to her lifestyle and her as a boss, maybe that wasn't the right thing, right? Like she thought, oh, I'm going to keep him with me. I can keep him safe. I can teach him all the necessary things he needs to go on and be great. She didn't. That's where she goes wrong, is because she thinks she's doing things to teach him, but it's not, you know, like he wanted to be in the game. She tried to push him out. He elbowed his way in. He bullied his way in. So while it hurts, she did try. She tried. And that's what I love about her, is that she really tried to tell him about this life, but he wanted it anyway. And the thing that for her that was scary is him being able to see her as a businesswoman, as a part of the crew, was going to always be difficult and create issues. And that is what it's become. It's created an issue because family involved in the business, the brothers is one thing, but having your son a part of your business is always going to be not good, because you're worried about his safety. And then that causes you to act a certain way because you're worried. She wants to keep him alive at the end of the day. You know, it doesn't, she's harsh, but it's for him to be able to survive.
Absolutely. I think the other thing is, you touched on it, is there's this idea that we as women are automatically nurturing and loving and emotional. And that's not true. You know, it's I think she is the way she is because she never had anybody teach her. And it's also survival skill. You know what I mean? The people that peak, the emotional people, they end up dead. They end up dead, broke, or in jail. So speak on that a little bit, because I think that's important too. This assumption that we're all like, take to motherhood, that we're all like lovey-dovey. And, you know, it doesn't mean that we don't love, but it's just, it, as you said, it's not a natural thing for everybody, especially not for every woman.
Yeah, and it's not that for every woman. I think, like, you know, when I hear like, oh, a woman, oh, you know, Unique says this thing about like, you know, it's different. You're in the game. You're a woman. You know, you gave birth to Kanan, so like you're a mother. And Rock is like, you got a son. Like what? Like, why is it any different? And for her, she's just not someone who sits in her emotions, right? Because she knows that when she does sit in the emotion, it causes her to be she can't navigate in the way that she wants to navigate. And she's done a really great job of being really good at her job, knowing how to keep herself safe, keep everyone around her safe. And, you know, like, it doesn't make her any less of a mom. It doesn't make her any less of a sister. She has to be harsh with her brothers because they don't listen. You know what I mean? Like, would she love to be the middle child and be protected by her brothers, but that's not the world that she lives in. She's had to be hard because the world has made her hard. The circumstances are hard. She's like a 15-year-old mom put into a high stakes situation, and she's had to navigate that. And so to be on top and to be in that position of power, you can't be in your feelings like that, or you're right. It's not sustainable, right? But she also knows what this means, and she's not afraid of that, the danger
Absolutely.
and all of that.
Congratulations again. Love this and love you. And I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for the fans to see the continuation of the Cray.
Yeah, it's a good season.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.